Thanks, Greg. Hi, Dexter. I'm glad you're in good spirits. I caught your story on Viva Fry podcast
Oh yeah,
about
yeah.
4 or 5 months ago.
Okay.
So I was just wondering, do you have a GoFundMe or anything I could help with?
Yeah, I have a Give Send Go legal fund. The link to it should be in my Twitter profile, which is Future Radio Cat. So
Okay,
yeah, that's where that is. So,
okay, thanks. And did you say before that once things are going well and you want to start up, you're looking for somebody in mechanical?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that? I'm getting background noise.
If I heard you correctly before, did you say that you're like looking forward to starting something up, and you're looking for somebody in
Yes, sir.
mechanics? Oh, right, that's right
Oh,
in my
oh,
wheelhouse. So I'll
oh
pay it
man.
forward.
Oh, you definitely, Governor, you definitely got to keep in touch. Yeah, because yeah, I mean, just to give you guys an example, I mean, uh, some of the things I was working on before New York State decided to run wild on me. Um, first and foremost is this kind of theoretical framework. As soon as I started building, right, I built the 5 or 6 Glock style pistols first, and then as soon as I started building rifles, um, 80% ARs, I started thinking hard about the kind of the technical issues, involved with gas operated semis, and so I started. I kind of when I visualized how a gas operated semi works, um, I looked at it like an electrical circuit, well, like a mass flow circuit, right? And so I started developing a theoretical framework called cyclic energy flow, um, which, and the ultimate goal of that, just of course, never reached because here I am. But the ultimate goal of that is that, well, you should be able to, if you know your starting energy budget, meaning, the amount of energy in your powder charge, um, and you break down the different components, the barrel up to the gas port, the gas tube. These are wires in the circuit metaphor. Your bolt carrier group, which is a resistor, because it's a moving mass. Your buffer string, which is a capacitor, right? Um, if you know your basic energy budget, um, and how much energy you're trying to impart to the round itself, then you should be able to come up with, you can run some software and come up with the weights and masses and so on and so forth. It should give you a rifle that's roughly into you. Now, I'm sure that the major manufacturers have something like this, but my plan is just to is to develop the software and open source it because, for all the builders out there who are struggling with, oh man, how come I'm getting stovepipe in? How come I'm getting bolt down? How come I'm getting this and that? It's like, hey, listen, if we use some kind of circuit analysis with this mass flow system for, we can get through with that. It's 60% energy flow. I was also developing something called OSIRIS, Open Shot Registration System. Um, Using wearable electronics and dirt cheap sensors and software to be able to register um, shots fired by a specific weapon in a training scenario. You've got 10 people in the range shooting rifles. Which one just went off? Oh yeah, you're wearing an accelerometer and a microphone strapped to your wrist, and you can run some software and register the shot. I actually demoed part of this on Kyle Serafin's podcast. I was developing something called Drift 360, which is an integrated dry fire training system. Around the time I started building, there was a big ammo shortage. You guys remember all that. And I was looking for ways to kind of help police departments, for example, um, make their training budget go farther and make their ammo budget go farther. So Drift 360, dry fire training suite, and Ember, electronic measurement of barrel resonance. Those of you who are interested in precision shooting, for example, know that barrel resonance is a big deal, right? Um, and so I got to thinking that if you could, again, use your cheap sensors and software You could very accurately measure not just your barrel resonance, but your nodes, your resonance nodes. Um, you can figure out exactly where the zero crossings are. Figure out where how the barrel is oriented in its oscillations when the round exits. Um, again, you can do some math, run some software, and get more control over these things. The point where you can tune your weapons better. And of course, you guys know that like precision shooting teams all take a lot of time, use high speed cameras, get very precise with their powder charges and their projectile masses and so on and so forth to try to at least get some rationality into what's happening while the barrel is wobbling around and this round is exiting. So these are just some of the things I was working on, and hoping to kind of develop and get to the point where I could actually develop products that people might pay money for. Because I really do think I have something to offer the firearms industry. Um, and also I have to be honest, when I started watching GunTube, right, and watching guys talking about their builds and stuff like that, I just realized, something, I like, these are my people. All these shade tree mechanics and guys who retired from this and went to guys like you know what I'm saying? It's like, holy shit, these are my people. Like this is like it's like grown up geek doing some of the coolest stuff you could possibly think of. Like I want to be. This is the world I want to work in. You know, and so yeah, I and that's still in my mind. That's something I want to do when I get out of here. And God willing, I will. So, so long answer again. Sorry.
No, that sounds great. Well, you got three tradesmen I have access to. I'm a toolmaker. My son's an electrician, and my best man's son is electronics wizard. So
Awesome. That's
I'll let the fingertips.
awesome.
Good to hear you're in good spirits. I wish you well, and I'll contribute. Take care, then.
God bless you. All right.
You too. You too. God bless.
What do you got for us, Miss Moni? Welcome.
Hey guys, hey Dexter. Always good to hear your
You know,
voice.
hey,
It's
always
awesome
good
to
to hear
hear
you. And how
you.
are you, sweetheart?
I'm doing okay. I just wanted to let the last person know I put your post with your carbon mic profile up in the nest with your Gives and Go. And if anybody's wanting to see that, it's up in the nest and down below too. And I just wanted to say hello to you and good to hear you.
Thank you, sweetheart. God bless you. How you been?
Hey, real
I'm
quick,
doing
real quick. I'm sorry to cut you both off. Real quick. Um, is there anybody in here in the space right now who haven't heard of Carbon Mike, aka Dexter Taylor story and what happened to him? If you have, disregard what I just said. If you haven't, if you want to go to his profile, which is in the title at Future Radiocast and the title of this space. Or if you want to go to my profile, which is You're a Smart Ass Carl. I wrote an article about his story. You can read up on it while we're talking here. And if you have any questions for him, come up and be a speaker and ask them any questions you can, because we're coming up on 11 o'clock and they usually shut the phones off at that time. So go ahead, Dusty.
Yeah. I just, I want to say thank you to everyone who's listening in the space. Um, Big thank you to Carl and Joe for putting this together. This is really it's just like the old days when I was outside and doing Twitter spaces and jumping into people's spaces and having long, late night conversations and what have you. It's great. I don't get to talk politics a lot in here, so it's really great that I get to do with you guys. Uh, yeah, you know.
So, yeah, Dexter, I wanted to apologize for not having your Give Send Go link up in the nest, because we were kind of
Oh, no
scrambling around
problem.
getting the space going early on, and so I
Yeah,
failed
no
there. I
worries.
apologize for that. But one day very soon I'll be in touch with you. I'll send you an email one day very soon. We're coming up there to visit you. When do you normally have visitation up there? What days or hours?
I don't remember the days. You should go to the facility's website. Coxsackie State Prison, COXSACKIE. There is or just call the place and they'll tell you that my last name is Taylor and the week is arranged by first letter of last names. There's certain days where I think S to Z, S to Z, F through Z are certain days where I can receive it. So yeah, but yeah, I'm certainly always glad to get emails or snail mail or any kind of mail. And for that, you'd check out securus.com, SECURUS, and sign up for an account. We don't have access to the public internet in here, but there is a closed circuit email system that we can use. So if someone signs up for a Securus account and punches in my information, like my inmate number and some other stuff, they can send me emails and I can respond. So I'm always glad to hear people. If people are doing podcasts, my two-way people out there, if they're doing their own podcast, would like me to come and talk with them on a podcast, I'm always glad to do that. I'm always glad to do interviews with two-way friendly people. Yeah, yeah, it's good. It's good. Interestingly enough, there's a kind of a grapevine among corrections officers here, and a lot of them know who I am. And I'm on side. It's crazy. It's like maybe a dozen or more have come up to me and say, "Hey, aren't you that guy? Aren't you the gun builder from New York? Oh man, you shouldn't be here." One guy was really said to me, I have a job in a school building, and one guy, one of the desk officers, one day, I was getting ready to get my cleaning supplies together. Hey, now I know why you look familiar. I said, why is that? Because you're the guy who in any other state wouldn't be in here. I said, yeah. So it's good, it's like the word is getting around, and like I tell everyone, of course, I'm more grateful than I can say to all my Give Send Go donors, all my supporters, but even more important than the money. I mean, don't get me wrong, money's important because let's face it, we're broken. But getting it's like attention, like getting the word out. That's the most important thing to us. Like the more people who know, the better. Especially now because Donald Trump Jr. mentioned my case at SHOT Show. Dana Lash, God bless Dana. My sister Dana Lash actually did an interview with Donald Trump Jr. and briefly about my case. And shortly after that, we heard of President Trump's executive order to have the DOJ look into civil rights violations, specifically with regard to the Second Amendment, and that's huge. So now, essentially that's now we have the map of our own strategy laid out for the next quarter or the next 2 quarters, right? Which is to hammer on civil rights and the Second Amendment, because a lot of people forget that the Second Amendment protects a basic civil right. It doesn't confer that right, doesn't give us that right. We have that right. It adheres to us as human beings, but it protects that right. So that's good. It's good that the government, that the DOJ, and remember, there's ample precedent for the DOJ to not just look at other federal agencies, also look at the several states and say, hey, wait a second, what kind of Jim Crow shit are you doing over there? No, that won't.
That's true.
Speaking of Jim Crow, all with the Democrats. All with the Democrats. Right, but I mean, that's what we need to emphasize. That we want the DOJ to take a look at what New York has been doing to people. Not just me, by the way. I'm not the only one.
That's
So,
a fact.
Right on. So I wasn't sure if you were aware of Donald Trump Jr. Talking about. I saw a clip, and it wasn't with Dana Lesh at the SHOT Show. I saw a video of him somewhere, and it was just a short little thing. But the host asked him, if he was aware, and he said, "Yeah, absolutely." And they said, "Is your father aware?" And he said, "Yeah, absolutely." And they said, "We're looking into that. We're gonna get on that." So I would expect them to be driving that actually quite quickly here, probably in the next week, a month or two, maybe.
Hopefully so. Listen, I'm gonna do a trick here because the phone shut down there's no new phone call after 11. But if I'm on a phone call, then let the phone call ride. So I'm gonna terminate now and come back. We'll have a few extra minutes together. All right. Okay. I'll be right back.
The caller has
while he's doing that, I missed the first few minutes. Did you guys tell him about or ask him, did he realize Letitia James took a big loss today?
No, you can tell him when he comes back.
Yeah. Enlighten all of us. I didn't know.
I didn't know I haven't been watching the news today. All right, he's calling back. Hold on, y'all.
Well,
they got to go through all the little "do you agree" type of things to get connected. It takes a minute.
what is it, like a security protocol or something?
Yeah, the recordings that a call from an inmate at whatever security facility.
We're back.
Yeah.
Okay. Miss Moni's got something to say, Dexter.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, did you realize or have you heard that James got a loss today? There was 14 state attorney generals that sued to try to stop Doge, and they got a big loss today from Tanya Chutkan. They refused to hear uphold that temporary restraining order and stop Doge. So, and that's Chutkan, which normally sides against him. So that's a big win today.
That's kind of good. I've from the beginning I've been kind of skeptical about Doge for my own oddball reasons, which I'm glad to expand on. But I'm always happy to see anything that makes these Washington parasites nervous. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'll take it. And let's face it. I mean, some of these guys, depending on what you look at, whether it's Department of the Treasury payment systems, whether it's other kind of money flows. It's like these money flows are behind a lot of dirt. So when I see that my philosophical and political adversaries are getting nervous about those looking into things, I get warm fuzzies. I'm just being honest.
Well, she was on the steps really preaching up a few days ago about how she was in that mix and that the Democratic AGs were going to go after him. And I was happy to see her take that L today.
I was surprised that the judge ruled on that. And weren't they just having the hearing
yesterday, right on the holiday, on Monday on the holiday, and I was surprised to hear that they ruled that way. And then it was pointed out to me today that she probably didn't do that because that's how she wanted to rule, but more so because she thought that SCOTUS would undoubtedly overrule her, and that's never a favorable thing for a judge to have to swallow that.
That's true. That's true, brother. They don't like to get reversed. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. So good stuff. Good stuff. I really thought it to be. I mean, my thing has always been that, like, again, I'm an oddball. When I hear someone say, "Oh, this is the Department of Efficiency," I always get nervous because, before I hear people tell me about efficiency, I want to hear your philosophy, right? I mean, I want to hear your theology. I want to know what you think government should and should not be doing in the first place before I hear about you trying to make it more efficient. All right. For example, the U.S. government spies on American citizens on a regular basis. That's something it should not be doing, and therefore there's something a task at which I don't want it to become more efficient. I want it to simply stop. But I'll also say that, when I hear about, like, the Treasury Department saying, well, if Doge simply looks at our records, they're going to crash the system and we're not going to be able to pay people. I'm like, okay, you're up to something. Like, whenever I think about Doge, good or bad, you people are up to something. So yeah, good news, money.
I think these young guys are doing a really good job from what I've seen so far. They're flagging stuff like they found so many people that were over the age of 90 today that were not flagged as expired, or deceased in the, like, millions of people in the Social Security system. So it looks like they're really doing a good job at what they're looking at. They're looking at it quite technically,
Yeah.
And I think,
I mean, and the fact that it's simply, I like government agencies that simply flag things. In other words, I wouldn't have half as much of a problem with the FDA, for example, if all it were what it was supposed to be originally, which was a labeling watchdog, right? Don't put a bunch of sawdust in a sausage casing and tell me it's pork sausage. Like, don't do that. But so Doge is kind of like, they're a little bit in that sweet spot, right? All they're going to do is say, hey, this looks funny. You know what I'm saying? Is this supposed to be happening here? And then rely on the attention of the rest of us to maybe do something about it. So yeah. I kind of I like that. And again, it's making Democrats. It's odd how nervous it's making Democrats. I mean, let's be honest. It's strange how nervous they get.
I think it's wonderful.
It's almost as if they know they've been doing some bullshit. They're like, why are you so nervous? Why are you just relax. Take a drink, Well,
okay. It's also hilarious, Dexter, that they had every mainstream media pundit complaining about big balls lately. That's all you heard on the media.
Complaining about what? Big what?
One of the Doge kids had an online profile that they figured him out, and his call name was Big Balls. And so every mainstream media pundit's been complaining about Big Balls.
He's Canadian, mate, by the way.
That's good stuff. By the way, speaking of big balls, those of you who have heard my content before know that I'm not a special fan of Donald Trump, right? But I do have to say, and I was thinking about this just today, like, in the wake of the whole DOJ thing and civil rights and the Second Amendment, like, President Reagan, who I never liked, got shot, unfortunately, and because somebody got shot. But he got shot, and right away he was all about trying to roll back, trying to roll back gun rights. Yeah, let's just say it. President Trump got shot at twice. And he was like, yeah, this national reciprocity thing really needs to be a thing. Like, look, you know something? This guy has got balls of steel. Let's just be honest. Like, I had to give it up. I had to be like, yeah, no. He gets respect for that. He gets respect for two different people took shots at him, and he's still on task with respect to protecting the Second Amendment. Like, you don't see that every day. Even in the Republican Party, as for what I just said about Reagan, right? So I think that's really cool. And again, we're lucky to be alive right now. We're lucky to have the political to be looking at the political landscape we are looking at. This is a tremendous opportunity for grassroots conservatives and for grassroots conservatism, more importantly. And that's bigger than Trump, it's bigger than me, it's bigger than you. It is about as big as all of us, right? So yeah, I'm really encouraged by what I'm seeing so far. Yeah. So yeah.
They call me Doc. What do you got?
Also,
Well,
sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say that also the Trump administration seems to have put a lipstick of dynamite underneath the New York Democrats with by dropping the indictment against Eric Adams. I think that's hilarious. I think it's a genius move. So that's it. I'm sorry, brother. Go on.
no, you good, brother. But you just touched on something that kind of woke something up in me that I wanted to just say real quick. And this goes down to the fundamental thing that is literally, this is the fundamental thing that is the systematic problem with our whole country, which supersedes anything going on. And please take no offense, but with you or anything else. And there's a documentary that is more of an educational whatever. It's on Amazon Prime. It's called The Four Presidents in the Federal Reserve. There's only been 4 presidents before Trump that tried to take out the Federal Reserve. Last one was Kennedy. First one was Lincoln. Guess what happened to all of them? And the bottom line there is, you said it. He's been shot at how many times? And most people don't realize this, but I'll give you something because I went to school for business and everything else. Look on the top of a dollar bill. First off, it's not a dollar bill. Look on the top of any American quote unquote currency. First off, it's not American. Second off, it's not American. It says Federal Reserve Note. Anybody who's got a dollar bill in this chat right now, look at the top of it. It says Federal Reserve Note. A note in business accounting is an IOU. We pay IOUs with interest to the 9 banking families who own the Federal Reserve, and it is definitely not fucking American. Excuse my choice of words, but I really don't give a shit. Like, this is the whole problem with this country. We don't own our bank. We don't own the money. This is something out of a Hollywood movie going back to methodical medieval times with the World Bank. We are loaned money from the World Bank, and we want to talk about having control of our country and control of our rights and control of our Constitution. Bullshit. Like, we fought a revolution over 2% T-tax, and we turned around and sold ourselves back out to a world international bank.
Well, here's the thing. I'm with you on what I'm supposing is your deep suspicion of the, let's face it, radically fishy Federal Reserve.
100%.
And right, but I would say this. That's not ambulatory our country. Absolutely not. And the only reason I say that is because ultimately what is required is what we need is not a revolution in banking. It's not a revolution in monetary policy. It's not a revolution in even manufacturing or engineering, or even a revolution in politics. What we need is a spiritual revolution.
Well, I agree with that 100%, but I also think that the fundamental thing that you're getting at is that our representatives should be more along the lines of the Davy Crockett representatives that actually rode to Washington and carried our vote instead of acting like kings and queens doing what they want.
Well, again, here's the thing. We can talk about what a representative should do, yes. What I'm saying is that for us, here's the thing. And I just got done reading a very interesting book written by a Frenchman, Alexis de Tocqueville. It's called Democracy in America. Alexis de Tocqueville came to America in the 1800s, I think it was like 1830 something, 1850 something maybe. And he was a big fan, by the way, of the American system. I mean, as a Frenchman, as a proud Frenchman, he was still a big fan of America and Americans, and he saw us as having great potential. But he points out something in that book, in Democracy in America, that, because of the way our government is structured, because of the way we've done representative government, we don't have a hereditary aristocracy. And looked at in some ways, that's good. But the downside of that is that there's no other kind of that there are no major extra governmental power centers that are capable of opposing the government if it oversteps its bounds. We are all kind of pushed down to more or less the same level, and then we have governments above us. Municipal, state, federal. Okay. And he saw that as a potential problem, and I think he was right.
You're talking about the republic being overthrown.
Well, no, I'm not. Absolutely not. No, I'm not. No, because it's not necessary. And I'll tell you why. That's exactly what I'm not talking about. It's not necessary to overthrow the republic for power centers outside government to exert power on government to limit its power. This happened probably early then, but at least as early as 1215 in Britain, at a place called Runnymede, where about 24 barons presented to King John something called the Great Charter, the Magna Carta. And basically said, listen, we love you and everything, Your Majesty, but we are kind of paying the bills, so we kind of get a say. Now, the signing of the Magna Carta wasn't the beginning of a whole new era. Right after they signed it, they kind of tried to do an end run around it. So what I'm saying is, it was power centers outside of government to influence government. Now, my point is this: the power center we have to rely on is we the people. And other American historians have talked about the importance of associations in American society: friendly societies, mutual aid societies, industrial associations, cultural associations, scientific associations, religious associations. What I'm trying to get at is that if we want the ability, right, to really push back against the government we have, replace the public servants who've forgotten their place, okay, then one of the most important things we need is a spiritual revolution. And that spiritual revolution will enable us, I think, not just to look at society differently, not just to back away from dead-end materialism, but to also ask the really fundamental questions that have actually changed the world, that have actually written the operating system of society over the years. And Joe knows because he's hosted spaces with me when I've talked about this before. But some of those questions are 2,000 years old. Who is my neighbor? Who is my neighbor? Okay. Kings have very often, maybe always, debased their own currencies. Let's not pretend as if America is the first country to have a silly monetary policy. Kings debase their currencies for all kinds of reasons, usually to fight wars or to build up the ability to fight wars, right? King Frederick debased the currency of Prussia in order to fight the 7 Years' War. Like, that's just how it is. So, the people who we elect to govern us are subject to the human temptations, right? The human misdeeds, human sins, whatever. And that's always going to be with us. But, if we can figure out a way to see each other differently and to see our way clear through the inevitable differences we are going to have. We're a family. Families fight. That's how that is, okay? Every American is my brother. You don't want to get along with your brother. Sometimes y'all got to roll around in the front yard. That's how that is. Sometimes that's just how that is. But here's the thing. If it's your brother, if it really is your brother, and when someone comes to burn your house down, the both of you know to stop fighting, stand up, and stand to like men. And defend your home. But first you have to recognize that first person plural. We, us, we the people. That's the kind of revolution I'm talking about. We have to have the spiritual revolution first. Then we have a shot at getting all the other stuff into place. If we decide that the material stuff comes from, well, we're basically giving into the socialists. And I ain't no socialist. Because the hell with that materialist bullshit that they always talk about. If we say that money's the most important thing, then we've conceded the ground to them. Not the most important thing. You are the most important thing, my brother. Our relationship, what we owe each other, our families, what our families owe each other, our imperative to stand up for each other and to defend each other, right down to the basics, right down to like if Carl's wife is walking down the street and I'm there and something jumps off, it's my job to jump out and defend her with my life if necessary. If we don't have that, we don't have a civilization. If we have that, we have a shot. That's it. So I don't disagree with anything you're saying about the fishiness of the Federal Reserve. J.P. Morgan and all of them basically stuffing their pockets off the back of a financial panic, in the early 1900s. The hell with them. But they're not our problem primarily. They're just a symptom. Just a symptom. The problem is that our theology is wrong, and therefore our philosophy is wrong, and therefore our reasoning about things is wrong, and therefore our reasoning about each other is wrong, and therefore our ability to reason with each other about what is happening to us as a people is wrong. Get that right, and we've got a shot. No guarantees, by the way. I'm not guaranteeing shit. I'm saying we've got a shot. So that's kind of where I stand on that. I'm with you on all that crookedness and corruption, but that's just a human thing. Like the poor, we will have it with us always.
Well, I don't disagree with you, brother, but what I was getting at was like the problem lies in one thing and one thing only. If the American people never gets their own currency, if we don't own our own currency, we are not a free nation, at which point, how do we enact our own constitution?
Well, that's, again, I don't agree with you there. It's like, because here's the thing. We should control it. We should control our own currency. Absolutely, we should. But the fact is, at the end of the day, look, okay, let me run this by. Let's flip it around and put it differently. One reason why I always used to get an argument with crypto advocates is because, again, I'm a lifelong computer guy, right? So you would think I'd be the biggest crypto booster. I'm not. I'm like, it's a speculative instrument. Do what you feel, but not impressed. One of the reasons I used to get into a fight with them is because it seemed to me that they didn't know what a currency system was. Like they had come up with a very cool way of implementing value tokens. And look, value tokens are important. I mean, money as a value token, it has some importance in our lives. Okay. I mean, gold, ultimately, I mean, the value of gold is not inherent in the material. The value of gold is mystical, obviously. All right? The metal, it doesn't tarnish. And so ancient people looked at that and said, whoa, this is like a shadow of the eternal. It's like, it's not even like us. We tarnish and we go away, but gold, the thing is still shining. Whoa. Otherworldly, right? But it's not like gold is especially useful. Iron is much more useful. Iron is enormously useful, right? The value of our value tokens is mystical. Right. Now, but back to the crypto thing. A value token is not a currency system. It's not. A currency system is a family of value tokens embedded in a trust network. And trust is a human thing, right? It's such a deeply human thing, it's almost a religious thing. So you tell me, yeah, I can't control the value of this value, but yeah, okay, fine. I'm saying put that problem to one side because we're not going to solve that tomorrow. The part of that currency system that I have control over is my ability to form trust networks with other human beings. And by the way, that same thing is at the root of every successful, mass human movement in history. The ability of human beings to trust others, right? And this goes right back to the question from the Sermon on the Mount. Who is my neighbor? Who is my neighbor? So I'm not trying to be glib. I'm not trying to dismiss these important things you're bringing up about monetary policy, the gold standard or no gold standard, all the fractional reserve, all these things matter, okay? They are downstream from the trust between citizens. If we have that first person plural, then we can, like within that kind of bubble of trust, then we can live and move and have our being, and we can think about what we need to do to, either change, get rid of the Fed, or change the Fed, or get rid of the government, or change the whatever. But the trust comes first. The human connection between us has to come first. That's a spiritual thing. That's not a monetary policy thing. That got nothing to do with that. But ain't no Federal Reserve governors around here right now. It's you and me and the rest of us. And we're what matters first. Everything else is downstream from that. That's all.
I don't disagree with you one bit, brother. I love what you said. It literally hits me right in my heart, and I believe in everything you're saying. The only point I was saying about that is those are the real people that are coming after all of us, though, including you. That's all I was saying, and I hate to be that blunt, but I mean those are the real people that are coming after all of us. Those are the people bankrolling this diversity. Those are the people bankrolling this bullshit, the two sides, the uniparties, the nonsense going on in America these days. It's being bankrolled by the people that do not want to lose financial control over this country. And I hate to cut this short, but I really hate to cut this short, but I'm going to tell all y'all right now, I'm about to get in trouble with my old lady and my kids if I don't get my ass in bed. But Carl, please invite me to the next one.
Hey. God bless you, brother. Have a good night, right?
Hey, you too, brother. Stay safe. Watch your six, and I appreciate you. And I am so sorry you're going through this.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Man. Soon enough.
Hey, for those who don't know, Dexter used to do this weekly when he was on the outside. He used to have a space called the Hidden Paths. This is something that I want to bring back, even while he's on the inside. So, I'm currently financially strapped because most of you know that I have a child on the way, so I'm preparing for that. But once I'm able to, I'm going to buy the same equipment that Joe has, and we're going to bring back his weekly show, the hidden path. But for now, we're going to be using Joe. So when Joe is available, we'll continue to do this. So if you enjoyed what you heard tonight from Dexter, best believe we're going to continue to do it. Dexter, you got anything to say? You want to say to the people?
Yes, sir. I mean, yeah, we're just about at the. I'm looking at my call timer here. I'm at like about 29 minutes, so they're gonna shut my call off soon. Mostly, what I want to say is thank you. Because most of what I feel day to day is gratitude. And gratitude, is a big thing with me. I've told people before, if you ask me to sum up, all my conservative beliefs and philosophy and this and that in a handful of words, it would be start with gratitude. And so I really do try to start with gratitude. Every day I'm just amazed at the people who are around me. The things people have done to get the word out. People who've never met me face to face. And it's like grace, right? I mean, I didn't earn it. All I can do is say thank you and try to be worthy of it. So thank you to everybody.
You have 1 minute left.
I timed that well. So please, anyone who's hearing the sound of my voice, please spread the word as much as possible. And please, if someone asks you about me and about my case, I have a link tree. Carl has probably got the link to that up somewhere. That's a good thing to introduce people to me and my case, because that links to all the information and also my work outside, my software engineering, the political commentary, so on and so forth. Check out the Foundationist Manifesto on the Infinite Jigsaw podcast on YouTube. And if you can, set up a Securus account, send me some email, or just stick a letter in the mail. I'd love to hear from you. And God bless you all. And I'll see you all on the outside soon.
Thanks for joining us tonight, Dexter. We do appreciate it. Always good to hear your voice.
Thank you, brother.
And I'm so
Thank
glad
you,
to hear that.
Houston. Securus. Goodbye.
All right. So you got cut off.
Hey, Carl, let me say this, that I'm available. We want to establish one night a week to do this. Just let me know what it needs to be named, and I'm available to do this until you get your gear set up.
Okay. So the Hidden Paths is what he used to call his show. So
Yeah.
Hello.
No.
And did you ever get any money from Maya Lansky?
I never got money from any of those fellas.
None of those
None
fellas?
of those fellas. None of these that I've been reading about, or none that I knew. They never gave me anything.
None of the Shennies?
No. I don't even speak to it. I mean, I met that Charlie once or twice. I don't even talk to him.
You don't like it?
No.
Night Court with Joe Lanou, live on X.
Also known as Duck Corella.
I refuse to answer on the grounds of made intent to
You
criminal.
got any business?
I refuse to answer on the grounds of intent to criminal.
You have any profession?
I refuse to answer on the grounds of made
You
intent
have
to
any
criminal.
occupation?
I refuse to answer on the grounds of made intent
Are
to
you a
criminal.
known racketeer?
I refuse to answer on the grounds of made intent